Over the last 15 years, I've cultivated a handmade, one-of-a-kind cinema experience, and I'm honored and grateful to have been invited to tell you how I did it. And by the end of my 6.3 minutes, share with you all something very special I've spent the last 2.5 years creating and waiting to share with my indie cinema peers. The backstory. I graduated film school at SUNY Purchase in New York in '97. Spent a lot of time in LA over the next 10, interviewing hundreds of my film and music heroes for my books, where the New Beverly Cinema was my home away from home. Yes, and when back in Austin in the early 2000s, the ultimate church of cinema was Alamo Drafthouse on Colorado. At the time, I identified mostly as an author of books, so when I met the gal of my dreams and wanted to take her to the Alamo, I knew I needed to find a realer job. It started with a dessert food truck I called Treat, where cupcakes and ice cream were served with a side of movies. I showed movies literally on the side of a vintage trailer parked right next to the original Torchy's Tacos. Next, I was given the very Austin opportunity of turning an abandoned building into something cool and useful, and thus created Starving Art Studios, workspace and galleries for other monetarily challenged artsy people like me. It was in the tiny alley behind the building where I painted a screen on the wall, set up a pair of drive-in speakers, and showed my gal a movie for our anniversary. Thus, the Blue Starlite Mini-Urban Drive-In was born in August of 2009. My goal was first and foremost to find a use for that alleyway. And in doing so, I created a totally new movie-going experience. I built a projection booth out of a vintage teardrop trailer and a concession stand out of a boat with no engine. It had 12 car spots, each with drive-in speakers. From growing up in Houston with severe learning disabilities during a time before there was such support for that kind of diagnosis, I found creative escape helping my dad and grandpa with their toy store chain. Surrounded by vintage toys and all kind of wonder. And all that led to exactly what I discovered I was good at, giving folks a very personal movie experience, putting on a show, taking them back in time, and keeping the funky old school Austin vibes flowing. A few years later, Austin's other awesome film people at the Austin Film Society allowed us to come move to their expansive property literally on a decommissioned runway. Our concession stand was now an RV, yes, with no engine, and Richard Linklater's office and screening room was 20 feet away. Over the years, I experimented with new versions and locations anywhere I happened to be spending time, on boats, beaches, landing strips, parking garages, and most recently on 1 acre of land where our next door neighbor was the cinematographer of Slacker and Dazed and Confused and became a patron. In ATX, we moved regularly whenever the neighborhood gentrified, but that was the beauty of the business model. It could improvise when faced with the usual problems a cinema or drive-in has when it's not built on actual wheels. Today, the Blue Starlite is the only drive-in cinema to be able to fit on less than an acre and still have 5 screens. A multiplex mini drive-in. Because of this, we can show many independent films that might not normally get screen time, as well as an array of Gen X classics, which never get old to me. In 2023, we reopened the Millennium Youth Center's single-screen historic cinema, which had been closed for 12 years in East Austin. I took it on with the idea that I would not be the keeper of its content, but the local community would. When the pandemic happened, we were the only cinema in Central Texas open for almost 8 months. I started thinking a lot then how indie cinemas like myself and my peers could thrive in a post-pandemic, post-streaming world. How can we give our theaters their own purpose and meaning? My years of experimenting with my many bootstrapped venues, experimental programming, and side quest career writing books gave me a unique perspective on what a movie theater experience can become. 15 years of experimenting with a multitude of multimedia films and music events, I've been able to witness all the many types of venues a cinema can successfully be. Through all of it, a back alley DIY drive-in on the side of a defunct building, to our rooftop skyline screenings of Taylor Swift's hit concert film, I have learned that there's a deep connection between music fans and cinema. While traditional moviegoers will always be our lifeblood, music fans will go to great lengths for a shared experience. They will sit in silent reverence of their beloved artists. They are fundamentally a new audience for us all. Tonight, I am very proud and scared shitless to present a new category of cinema experience. and proof that we can create intriguing content that cinemas would find appealing due to the ability to bring in a whole new subset of patrons leaving their homes because what we are showing can't be seen anywhere else. I present to you, my peers, Silent Syncs, a new category of content made for indie cinemas and drive-ins, inspired by the belief that there is a place in our industry's future for indie theaters to also be alternative content creators. For those about to watch, I salute you. Classic silent films remixed with epic alternative rock albums for an entirely new way to experience both, made by an independent cinema for independent cinemas. Yes, I personally called each rock band and pitched to them the idea of letting me remix classic silent movies with their music and offer it to my indie cinema peers, and they all said yes. Series 1 of Silent Syncs kicks off with Radiohead paired to Nosferatu, available this October through Spotlight Cinema Networks. You can learn more at silentsyncs.com, as well about an app that we're working on to help learning disabled people like me keep up with their bookings correctly. So the blue Starlight lives on to fight another day with all of you. We are in this together. Rock on, and thank you for this absolutely incredible opportunity.